Hi everyone, and welcome back to Olivia English Lab. Tonight, I'd love to guide you through a gentle English sleep session, a calm and comforting story about a young woman named Grace and the quiet, unexpected moment that turned her simple day into something quietly unforgettable. Before we begin, let your body sink a little deeper. Let your breath slow down and allow your mind to settle into this safe, peaceful space. This moment is yours, a quiet break from the day, and a chance to learn English while you sleep, naturally, softly, and without any pressure. In this session, I'll lead you through Grace's warm morning light, her kind-hearted work at the hospital, and a small, tender surprise in the afternoon that stayed with her long after the sun went down. It wasn't dramatic or loud, just a gentle moment, but one that touched her more deeply than she expected. And as you follow her journey step by step, you'll absorb English slowly and effortlessly. So get comfortable, relax your shoulders, and let's begin with the first soft light of Grace's morning.
Before we step into rest of Grace's day, let's begin where everything always begins for her, with the soft, pale light of early morning. Grace wakes before her alarm, not because she forces herself to, but because the first light gently touches her eyelids, as if whispering a quiet invitation to start again. She lies still for a moment, listening to the faint hum of the morning world, the distant sound of a bus, the soft chirping of tiny birds on her balcony, and the slow, steady rhythm of her own breath. She doesn't rush. Grace never rushes in the morning. Instead, she lets her mind stretch awake the same way her body does, slowly, calmly, with a warm sense of ease. She sits up and feels the cool floor under her feet, a grounding reminder that a new day has begun, fresh and unwritten. She opens her curtains, and golden light spills into her room. Her small apartment is simple, but in the morning sun, it feels like a quiet sanctuary. The plants near her window glow softly, their leaves catching the light in a way that always makes her smile. She walks to the kitchen, where everything is still and peaceful. She fills the kettle with water and waits for the gentle boil. This is one of her favorite moments, the stillness before the world becomes noisy. The soft sound of bubbling water feels almost like a morning song, something private and comforting, meant only for her. When the kettle clicks, she pours the hot water over a small tea bag and watches the color spread slowly, like a sunrise, inside her cup. She wraps her hands around it, feeling the warmth soak into her palms. It reminds her of safety, of kindness, of beginnings that ask for nothing except presence. She takes her tea to the little wooden table next to her window. Outside, the city is just beginning to move. A few people walking their dogs, a delivery truck humming in the distance, a cyclist passing by quietly. She watches them with soft eyes, wondering briefly where each person is going, what their day might look like, what small joys or surprises may be waiting for them. She takes a slow sip of her tea and lets the warmth settle inside her chest. This is her gentle ritual, a morning rhythm that steadies her, a moment she protects carefully before stepping into the responsibilities ahead. After finishing her tea, Grace prepares a simple breakfast, a slice of toasted bread, a bit of fruit, something light to start the day. She eats without hurry, letting each bite remind her that small routines can be sources of calm when approached with intention. Once she's done, Grace stands near her mirror and braids her hair loosely. She chooses her hospital uniform with quiet familiarity. It's soft, clean, and comfortable, a reminder of the purpose waiting for her outside. She ties her shoes, checks her small shoulder bag, and places her phone inside, along with a tiny notebook she uses to write small thoughts whenever the day feels heavy. Before leaving, she pauses at the doorway and looks back at her apartment. The morning sun has brightened everything now, casting soft gold over the walls. It feels warm, gentle, welcoming, a space that always waits for her to return, no matter what the day brings. Grace steps outside and locks her door with a soft click. The hallway is quiet, filled with the smell of fresh laundry from a neighbor's early wash. When she reaches the street, the breeze touches her cheeks, cool, refreshing, full of promise. She starts walking toward the bus stop, her steps light, unhurried. The world feels soft around her, like the morning has wrapped everything in a calm, golden glow. And as she walks, Grace whispers a simple thought to herself, one that she carries into every new day. I'll do my best today, and that will be enough.
Grace reaches the bus stop just as the morning breeze settles into a gentle rhythm. The bus arrives with a soft hiss, and she steps inside, choosing a quiet seat near the window. As the city rolls past, small cafes opening their doors, sleepy pedestrians yawning into their scarves, she lets her thoughts drift peacefully. Today feels calm. Today feels steady. And Grace carries that feeling with her all the way to the hospital. When she arrives, the lobby is just waking up too. The lights are bright, but not harsh. The air cool and clean, and the soft echo of footsteps trails gently through the hallways. Grace greets the receptionist with a warm smile. "Good morning," she says quietly. Her voice is always soft at this hour, as if she doesn't want to disturb the calm beginning of the day. She walks to the staff room, where a few nurses are pouring their first cups of coffee. They greet her with small smiles, smiles of people who understand tired mornings, who understand kindness without words. Grace changes into her hospital shoes and clips her badge to her uniform. She breathes in deeply, letting the routine settle into her bones. She begins her rounds soon after. The first patient she checks on is Mr. Lewis, an older man with gentle eyes who always tries to sit up straighter when she enters. "Good morning, Grace," he murmurs. She helps him adjust his pillow, checks his chart, and speaks to him with quiet reassurance. "You're doing well today," she says softly. Her presence alone seems to lift his spirits. Next, Grace moves to the children's ward, a place where mornings are bright and voices are small and brave. She steps inside quietly, wanting to keep the peace of the early hour. The room smells faintly of crayons and lavender, a mixture that always makes her smile. And here, this is where our first gentle moment unfolds. As Grace reviews her notes and walks past a row of small beds, a tiny voice calls out, "Miss Grace?" She turns and sees a little girl sitting upright, her hair tied into two uneven pigtails. This is Mia, a cheerful child recovering from a long illness. Mia holds something in her hands, hiding it shyly behind her blanket. Grace kneels beside her bed. "Yes, Mia?" Her voice is soft, warm, patient. The girl hesitates for a moment, then extends her small hand. Inside it is a tiny, folded paper star made from a strip of pink origami. "I made this for you," she whispers. Grace blinks softly, caught off guard by the tenderness of such a simple gift. She takes the star gently. "Oh, Mia, it's beautiful. Thank you so much." Mia smiles, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. She says, "I made 8 more, one for every nurse. But yours is the first one I finished." Grace feels something warm spread through her chest, a small, unexpected joy, so delicate it almost makes her breath catch. She places the star in her pocket carefully, as if it were something precious. Moments like this, they stay with her. They remind her why she chose this path, why every early morning, every long shift, every quiet night of studying is worth it. After thanking Mia again, Grace continues her rounds. She checks charts, organizes medications, listens to concerns, and reassures nervous patients with the kind of calm that feels like a warm blanket. Her steps are steady, her movements gentle, and her presence brings a soft order to the busy morning around her. In the hallway, a doctor passes by and nods. "You're doing great work today, Grace." She returns the compliment modestly. Compliments still surprise her, even though she deserves them more than she knows. By mid-morning, the hospital grows livelier. Phones ring softly, distant conversations blend together, and the rhythm of work settles into its usual pace. But Grace continues to move through it all with the same calm energy that carried her from her warm apartment to this bright, echoing building. She pauses near a window in the hallway and lets herself breathe for a moment. Sunlight spills through the glass, painting warm shapes on the floor. She watches it quietly, letting the light settle her mind. Her hand drifts into her pocket and touches the little paper star. The edges are slightly bent now, soft from her fingers, but its meaning feels even stronger. A reminder of kindness, of simple connections, of the way the smallest moments can brighten an entire day. Grace smiles to herself and begins walking again. There is still so much to do, so many people to help, so many gentle things that need quiet hands and a steady heart. And as she steps forward, the morning continues to unfold, soft, warm, and filled with the kind of quiet meaning that Grace always carries with her.
Late morning slowly drifts into noon, and the hospital becomes a little louder. Not in a stressful way, but in the natural rhythm of people moving, working, healing, and hoping. Grace finishes her last task of the morning, writes a few notes in her small notebook, and finally steps away for her lunch break. She walks down the hallway, passing tall windows glowing with soft daylight. Outside, the sky is pale blue, with gentle clouds drifting like slow thoughts. Grace feels the warmth through the glass and knows exactly where she wants to spend her break today: the small hospital garden behind the building. This garden isn't large or fancy. It's simple. A few wooden benches, a stone path lined with tiny flowers, and 2 trees that offer just enough shade to make the air feel cool and peaceful. But to Grace, it's a quiet world of its own, a soft escape tucked behind the busy hospital walls. She pushes open the door to the garden, and the breeze greets her instantly. Light, fresh, carrying the scent of leaves and morning dew that hasn't completely disappeared yet. She breathes in deeply, letting her shoulders soften as she steps onto the stone path. The garden is mostly empty today. Only one older woman sits at the far bench, reading a book slowly, her glasses slipping down her nose. Grace walks to her favorite spot near the small tree that always seems to sway gently, even when the air is still. She sits down, places her lunch neatly beside her, and lets her eyes wander across the quiet space. Sometimes she forgets how healing silence can be until she steps into this little sanctuary. Here, even her thoughts seem to breathe easier. Grace takes out her lunch, a simple meal she prepared the night before: rice, steamed vegetables, and a small cup of warm soup.
she kept inside a little thermos. Nothing fancy, but comforting in the way homemade food often is. She eats slowly, not because she's tired, but because she wants to savor this peaceful moment. The garden feels like a gentle pause in the middle of her day, a soft reminder that rest is as important as work. As she sits there, she watches a tiny bird hop along the path, pecking gently at the ground before flying up to a low branch. Its wings make a faint, quick flutter that almost blends into the breeze. Moments like this bring a quiet joy to her heart, a joy that asks for nothing except attention. After finishing her meal, Grace places her hands on her lap and lets herself simply sit. She closes her eyes for a moment and listens to the distant hum of the hospital, a reminder of where she is, but also of how important it is to step outside and breathe. When she opens her eyes again, she takes out her small notebook. It's filled with tiny thoughts, short reflections, and gentle reminders she writes to herself on days that feel heavy. Today, she writes only one line: "I am grateful for quiet places." She reads it once more, and the words feel just right. Simple, honest, true. A soft gust of wind moves through the garden, carrying the scent of flowers across the air. Grace tilts her head back slightly and lets the breeze brush against her cheeks. She feels completely present, as though time has slowed down just for her. After a while, the older woman with the book stands up, gives Grace a polite nod, and leaves the garden quietly. Grace watches her go, smiling at the idea that even strangers can share peaceful moments without saying a word. She checks the time and realizes her break is almost over. But instead of rushing, she takes one last slow breath of the cool air and looks around the garden as if imprinting the moment into her memory. Then she stands, smooths the front on her uniform, and walks back toward the hospital door, her heart lighter, her mind clearer, and her spirit gently renewed. As she steps inside, she whispers softly to herself, a small thought she often carries back into her afternoon. I feel peaceful, and I'm ready for the rest of the day.
Grace returns to the quiet hallways with a steadier heart, carrying the calm of the garden with her. Afternoons at the hospital are different from mornings. Not louder, not busier, just touched with a gentle energy that makes people move a little faster, speak a little more, and hope a little harder. Grace walks toward the nurse's station to check the next round of tasks. Her footsteps echo softly against the polished floor, blending with the low rhythm of distant conversations. She reviews medication lists, updates charts, and prepares supplies with her usual, quiet focus. Each movement is calm and deliberate, the kind of work that requires both steady hands and a peaceful heart. As she moves through the children's ward again, a few of the younger patients wave at her, their smiles small but bright. Grace waves back with a softness that always feels sincere. She has a way of making others feel seen without saying many words. She checks on Mia, the little girl who gave her the pink origami star. Mia is napping now, her tiny hands curled gently by her face. Grace stands quietly for a moment, letting the sweetness of the scene settle inside her before she steps away. She finishes her rounds and walks toward a quiet stretch of hallway that leads to a small storage room. Inside, she replaces a few items, straightens the shelves, and hums a soft melody under her breath, a tune she can never quite remember the words to, but one that always brings her comfort. When she steps back into the hallway, something catches her eye. A small envelope, soft cream in color, lies neatly on the counter near the nurse's station. Her name is written on the front in small, careful handwriting. Grace. She blinks, surprised. It's unusual for her to receive anything at work, let alone a handwritten note. She looks around the hallway, but no one seems to be paying attention. The doctors are reviewing charts, the nurses are walking briskly, and the world carries on with the natural pace of an ordinary afternoon. Grace picks up the envelope gently, as if it might flutter away. Her fingers trace the letters of her name, each stroke delicate and unsure. She opens it slowly, unfolding a small piece of pale yellow paper inside. The message is short, just one sentence. "Thank you for your kindness. It helped me more than you know." There is no signature, no initials, no clue about who might have written it. But Grace doesn't need to know. Her breath softens, not in surprise, but in that tender way a person exhales when something touches their heart more deeply than expected. She reads the note again, letting each word settle. The handwriting is a little shaky, as if written by someone older, or someone nervous, or someone trying their best to express something they didn't quite know how to say. Grace thinks about all the moments she has shared with patients, the ones she comforted, the ones she helped stand, the ones she listened to, even when they struggled to find the right words. She remembers the gentle smiles, the soft goodbyes, the quiet looks of gratitude that never needed explanation. Maybe the note came from one of them. Maybe it came from someone she doesn't remember clearly. Or maybe it came from someone who simply needed to say thank you in the only way they could. Whatever the reason, the message feels warm,
like a soft beam of sunlight cutting through an ordinary afternoon. Grace folds the note carefully and places it in her pocket next to the little pink star from Mia. 2 small gifts, 2 small reminders, both unexpectedly beautiful. She stands still for a moment, allowing the emotion to wash over her gently. Not overwhelming, not heavy, just a quiet warmth that fills the spaces inside her she didn't realize needed filling. The afternoon continues, but the world feels a little softer now. Footsteps sound lighter, colors seem warmer. Even the hospital air, usually so neutral, feels tinged with something gentle and kind. As Grace walks toward the next room, her mind feels peaceful, almost weightless. She moves with renewed purpose, carrying the note's message with her, like a small lantern guiding her through the rest of the day. She checks on more patients, offers soothing words, adjusts pillows, and smiles softly at each person she helps. And with every act of care, she feels that quiet warmth growing just a little more. When the afternoon sun begins to fade and soft shadows stretch across the hallway, Grace pauses at the window, watching the golden light dip gently behind the outlines of tall buildings. She leans against the cool glass and lets the moment settle inside her. Gratitude, connection, kindness returning in unexpected ways. These are the things that make her day feel whole. And as she stands there, hands tucked into her pockets, fingertips brushing the folded envelope, she whispers softly to herself. A reflection, a quiet truth, a thought for her heart alone. Even the smallest moments can change everything.
By the time Grace finishes her afternoon responsibilities, the sun has already begun its slow descent, painting soft gold across the hospital windows. The halls grow quieter, the lights dim just slightly, and a warm hush settles over the building, a gentle reminder that the day is winding down. Grace returns to the staff room and changes out of her hospital shoes, placing them neatly in her locker. Her feet feel lighter, her shoulders softer, her breath longer and calmer than before. She gathers her things, tucks the tiny paper star and the folded note safely into her bag, and steps out into the early evening air. The world outside feels different now. Not busy, not rushed, just touched with the tender quiet that evenings often carry. The sky is turning a pale orange, blending into the violet of the approaching night. Shadows stretch gently along the sidewalk, as if inviting her into a slower rhythm. Grace begins her walk home. She could take the bus, of course, but on days like this, walking feels like the perfect way to let everything settle inside her. The air is cool against her cheeks, leaves rustle softly above her, and distant city noises blend into a faint, calming hum. She passes familiar shops, a bakery closing for the night, a tiny bookstore with warm yellow lights, a florist arranging the last bouquet in the window. With each step,
Grace feels her heart relax further. She thinks about Mia's little star, about the anonymous note tucked into her pocket, and about how the smallest gestures can leave the deepest impressions. As she walks, she notices the sky darkening a little faster than usual. Clouds gather, thin at first, then thicker, moving slowly across the fading light. There's a softness to them, but also a promise of rain. Grace lifts her head slightly, feeling the subtle shift in the breeze, cooler, heavier, carrying the faint scent of water in the air. She smiles gently to herself. She doesn't mind rain. Rain, for her, is like a quiet companion, soft, soothing, a little melancholic but comforting in its own way. Then, just as she turns the corner, a single drop lands on her hand, then another, and then another. Within seconds, a light drizzle begins to fall. Not strong enough to rush her, but steady enough to ask her to find a bit of shelter. Grace looks around and notices a small awning just outside a closed cafe. She walks toward it and settles beneath the awning, a gentle smile playing at her lips as she watches the rain grow slightly heavier. This is the third gentle moment of her day. Soft, unexpected, and strangely comforting. Under the awning, the world feels slowed, protected, wrapped in the hush that only rain can bring. The street glistens under the evening lights, each raindrop catching the glow before disappearing into the puddles below. Grace wraps her arms lightly around herself and listens. The sound of rain tapping the pavement is rhythmic and calming, like a quiet song without words. It fills the space around her with a deep, peaceful quiet. For a moment, she closes her eyes and lets the cool air brush past her skin. She feels her breath settle, her thoughts soften, her heart open just a little wider. This pause, this unexpected stillness, feels like a gift. Inside the soft rain, the world feels gentler, almost suspended. Cars pass slowly, their headlights reflecting off wet roads. A couple walks under a shared umbrella, laughing softly at the weather. A lone cyclist stops to adjust his jacket, nodding politely to Grace as if acknowledging the quiet beauty of this shared moment. Grace watches the scene unfold with warm, reflective eyes. She thinks about how often life moves too fast, how easily the smallest wonders vanish when we hurry past them. But now, in this quiet pocket of rain, she feels completely present. She reaches into her bag and touches the envelope again, her fingertips brushing its folded edges. It feels different now. Not just a message, but a reminder that kindness has a way of returning when we least expect it. She takes a slow breath and whispers to herself, barely audible beneath the soft rain. Maybe the world is more gentle than we sometimes believe. After a few minutes, the drizzle begins to lighten. The clouds shift, opening small spaces of clear twilight sky. The scent of rain grows sweeter, and the evening air becomes fresh and cool. Grace waits a little longer to just savor the quiet, before stepping back onto the damp sidewalk. Her shoes make soft splashes as she begins walking again, but she doesn't rush. Everything feels calm. Everything feels slow. Everything feels beautifully balanced. As she walks the final stretch home, the evening lights begin to glow. Warm, steady, familiar. She passes the convenience store on the corner, the little park with its empty swings, and finally her own apartment building, standing quietly against the darkening sky. She climbs the stairs one step at a time, listening to the soft echo of her own footsteps. And when she reaches her door, she pauses for a moment, hand resting on the key, letting the last shimmer of rain settle in her memory. Today was ordinary, yet somehow it felt extraordinary in all the quiet ways that matter. Grace unlocks her door and steps into the warm glow of her home, whispering softly, "I'm grateful for today, every small part of it." Grace steps into her apartment, closing the door gently behind her as the soft echo settles into the quiet space. The warm light inside feels comforting, a gentle welcome after the cool drizzle of the evening. She takes a slow breath, letting the familiar scent of her home wrap around her like a soft blanket. She places her bag on the small wooden bench near the entryway, then slips off her slightly damp shoes, lining them neatly beside the wall. Her feet relax instantly, free from the day's long hours of walking. She stretches her toes lightly, feeling a quiet wave of relief. The apartment feels peaceful tonight. The gentle hum of the refrigerator, the faint rustle of curtains as a cool breeze slips through a slightly open window, the soft glow from her bedside lamp. Everything blends together into a calm evening rhythm. Grace walks to the bathroom and turns on the warm water. Steam begins to rise slowly, fogging the mirror in a soft white haze. She washes her face with slow, gentle movements, letting the warmth melt away the last traces of the day's tiredness. The water feels soothing on her skin, a quiet signal that her body can finally begin to rest. When she finishes, she ties her hair loosely and changes into comfortable clothes, a soft cotton shirt, and warm pajama pants that make her feel instantly at ease. She smiles at the simplicity of it, at how small comforts can feel like little acts of kindness toward herself. In the kitchen, she heats a small cup of herbal tea, chamomile and honey, a blend she drinks almost every night. The aroma fills the air with a sweetness that feels safe and familiar. She holds the warm cup between her hands, feeling the heat seep into her palms and settle gently inside her chest. Grace carries the tea to her living room and sits near the window. Outside, the world is quiet now. The rain has stopped, leaving a soft sheen on the streets that reflect the golden streetlights. A few cars glide past slowly, their tires whispering against the wet pavement. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks once. Then the silence returns. Grace takes a slow sip and sighs softly, a peaceful, contented sound. The tea warms her from the inside, loosening any worries she might still be carrying. After finishing her drink, she reaches for her small notebook, the same one she wrote in earlier during her lunch break in the garden. She flips to a clean page, lets her pen hover for a moment, and then begins to write. Her handwriting is gentle, slightly slanted, with soft curves that reflect her personality. She writes about Mia's paper star, about the anonymous thank you note, about the quiet rain and the peaceful walk home. She writes about gratitude, how it shows up unexpectedly, how it changes the shape of an ordinary day. When she finishes, she closes the notebook carefully and places it on the small table beside her. Her heart feels lighter now, clearer, calmer, as if each word she wrote created a little more space inside her. Grace stands and turns off the main lights, leaving only a warm bedside lamp glowing softly. The apartment dims into a gentle amber haze, perfect for unwinding before sleep. She walks to her bedroom and pulls back the covers, letting the cool sheets breathe for a moment. Then she dims the lamp even further, creating a soft, dreamy glow that makes the room feel safe and cocooned. Before getting into bed, Grace steps to the window and looks out one last time. The night sky is a deep blue now, sprinkled with faint stars peeking through the thinning clouds. The air outside is still, as if the world itself were settling down beside her. She places a hand gently on the glass and whispers something only she can hear. "Thank you today for all your quiet gifts." Finally, Grace slips into bed. The sheets are cool against her skin, the pillow soft beneath her cheek. She pulls the blanket up to her shoulders and lets her body sink deeply into the gentle comfort of rest. Her mind drifts over the day, the smiles, the kindness, the small, unexpected moments that made her feel connected and alive. Each memory softens her breath, guiding her slowly toward the peaceful edge of sleep. And with the faint glow of the bedside lamp casting warm light across her room, Grace closes her eyes and lets the calm of the night carry her gently into rest.
Now, as you rest more deeply, let's return to Grace's day, slowly, softly, one gentle moment at a time. Grace woke up with the first light of morning, before her alarm, with calmness warming her chest. She sat on the edge of her bed, feeling the cool floor under her feet. She opened her curtains, and golden light filled her small apartment like a quiet hello from the world. She made warm tea, held the cup between her hands, and watched the city begin to wake up. Slow movements, soft breathing, a peaceful start. Then she walked to the bus stop, the morning breeze brushing against her cheeks. The city was still gentle, still stretching awake. Grace carried that calm with her into the hospital hallways. She greeted her coworkers quietly. She helped her first patients with care. She listened. She supported. She smiled softly in the way that only Grace can. And then, a small, warm moment. Tiny Mia, with her uneven pigtails, called Grace's name and handed her a pink origami star. A gift made from small hands, but full of big kindness. Grace placed it in her pocket, carrying its soft meaning with her for the rest of the day. Later, during her lunch break, Grace stepped into the hospital garden, a small place, but full of peace. She sat under a gentle tree, ate slowly, and breathed deeply. She wrote one simple sentence in her notebook. I am grateful for quiet places. In the afternoon, another gentle surprise waited for her. A small envelope, her name written softly on the front. Inside, a short message. Thank you for your kindness. No signature, no name, just gratitude. Simple and unforgettable. Grace folded the note carefully, placing it beside Mia's star. Two tiny reminders that her quiet kindness meant more to people than she ever realized. When her shift ended, Grace stepped outside into the cool evening air. She walked home slowly, the sky shifting from gold to violet. Then, a gentle rain began to fall. Soft, light, almost musical. She found shelter under the awning of a small cafe and watched the world blur into shimmering reflections of streetlights and raindrops. A pause, a moment of peace she didn't expect, but deeply needed. When the rain softened, she continued her walk, letting the night calm her completely. She reached home with a warm heart. In her apartment, Grace made chamomile tea, wrote in her notebook, dimmed the lights, and prepared for sleep. She looked out at the quiet night sky and whispered a gentle thank you to the day that had held her so kindly. And then, wrapped in soft blankets, with her thoughts quiet and warm, Grace closed her eyes and drifted into peaceful rest. A morning filled with light, an afternoon filled with kindness, an evening filled with gentle rain, a night filled with gratitude. This is Grace's day, remembered slowly, softly, step by step, as you continue to relax, to let go, and to drift into your own quiet sleep. Now, as your body feels heavier and your breath becomes softer, let's review simple English sentences from Grace and her gentle day. I'll read each sentence slowly so your mind can absorb them while you rest. Repeat in your mind or simply listen. Both will help you learn as you drift deeper into sleep. Morning sentences. I wake up slowly. I open my eyes gently. The morning light feels warm. I breathe in calm air. I start my day with peace. I stretch my body softly. I prepare a simple breakfast. I drink warm tea. I enjoy a quiet morning. I get ready without rush. Work and daily routine. I walk with steady steps. I greet people kindly. I help where I can. I listen carefully. I speak with a soft voice. I support others with care. I stay calm under pressure. I learn something new every day. I focus on one task at a time. I give my best effort. Kindness and connection. I smile gently. Small moments matter to me. Kindness is simple. I appreciate warm gestures. I accept gratitude with an open heart. I notice good things around me. I treat others with respect. I choose to be patient. I care for people deeply. I feel grateful for today. Nature and emotions. I enjoy the fresh air. I sit in a quiet place. I let my thoughts slow down. I breathe with ease. I feel peaceful inside. I allow myself to rest. I appreciate the beauty of small things. I welcome gentle surprises. I stay present in the moment. I trust the day to unfold softly. Evening and reflection. I walk home slowly. The evening air feels cool. I enjoy the sound of soft rain. I reflect on my day. I write down my thoughts. I let go of stress. I choose calm over hurry. I
release all worries. I feel proud of my efforts. I thank the day for its lessons. Night and sleep. I prepare for a peaceful night. I breathe deeply and slowly. My mind becomes quiet. My body feels safe. I allow myself to rest. I welcome deep sleep. I learn English while I sleep. My brain absorbs new words easily. I grow a little more each night. I will wake up refreshed and strong. Let these sentences stay with you, softly, quietly, as you continue to drift into deeper, calmer rest.
Now, as your breath grows softer and your body becomes heavier with rest, let these gentle words flow through your mind. You are safe. You are calm. You are exactly where you need to be. Every slow breath you take relaxes you even more. Every quiet moment brings you deeper into peace. You have done enough today. You are enough today. And now, your only job is to rest. Your mind is open. Your heart is soft. Your body is ready for deep, healing sleep. You are learning English as you dream. New words settle gently into your memory. New sentences find their place inside you. Learning becomes natural, effortless, soft as the night around you. You release all tension. You release all worry. You let go of anything that does not belong in this peaceful moment. You deserve rest. You deserve comfort. You deserve a quiet night of deep sleep. Feel your breath slow. Feel your body sink deeper. Feel your mind drift calmly, quietly into peaceful, gentle rest. Good night and sleep well.